So Apex Legends versus Warzone, the two biggest FPS battle royale games on the market right now. These games have always been in somewhat of a competition, guys, but I feel like Warzone players stuck to Warzone and Apex players for the most part stuck to Apex, right? Even though these games are both FPS battle royale games, they have very different feels, very different mechanics and stuff, and they don't really give you the exact same experience. Obviously Apex came out first, it dropped back in 2019, it was a huge surprise drop. And everybody just thought that Apex was going to be, a failure. No one really saw Apex go in the distance because people assumed that Apex was supposed to be the Fortnite killer, or whatever that means. Obviously, Apex is still here 10 seasons later, and it's been one of the most successful games since it launched back in 2019. Warzone obviously launched about 1 year later in 2020, guys, and it also had huge success, especially on Twitch and YouTube. And Warzone single-handedly revitalized the COD franchise because before Warzone dropped, COD was kind of dying off. No one was checking for like COD anymore, and Warzone, as I said, single-handedly made COD one of the biggest franchises once again. Now fast forward 1 year later, guys, and here we are talking about Apex and Warzone in the same sentence, because a lot of streamers, a lot of content creators, a lot of players right now are jumping ship from Warzone and coming to play Apex, which is insane. The biggest Warzone streamers, guys, like Nick Mercs, Tim the Tatman, Cloaksy, Courage, all of these streamers have publicly said that they're going to make somewhat of a switch to Apex, which is a very big statement to make because I feel like although Apex and Warzone offer two very different experiences, of course they're very different FPS games, because they're still FPS games, they're naturally going to be in competition, right? Not to mention one is published by EA and one is published by Activision. So let's talk about, why Apex is so big right now and why Warzone is kind of dying off, and also why Apex might be the final nail in the coffin for Warzone. Warzone players, relax. I'm not trying to hate on Warzone, I'm just being honest, right? Relax. Chill. Now if you guys do happen to enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like, and we hit 500 likes on today's video. And also guys, hit that sub button as well. We're on the road to 75k subs, and every little single bit of support helps out the channel. So don't be shy, drop a like, hit that sub button. Alright, so let's start things off with the obvious, right? Warzone is kind of trash right now. Warzone is in a very bad state, and honestly Warzone is a perfect example of why content creators and streamers have so much power in making a game big or making a game fail, making a game succeed or making a game fall off. One of the biggest reasons why content creators and streamers are leaving Warzone right now is because of the whole hacking problem in Warzone. Now Apex has hackers as well. Apex does have a hacking problem in ranked, mainly in ranked, but Warzone takes this to a completely different level. Warzone doesn't even have ranked. Warzone is just pubs, right? But I would say if I play Warzone right now in PC, every other game, if not every single game, will have at least one hacker in it, which is insane. Now could you imagine being a big streamer, playing Warzone for a living, and you also have this target on your back because you're also a big streamer? So like Nick Mercs, Tim the Tatman, all of those guys who are playing Apex right now, they obviously have to deal with hackers, of course, but they also have to deal with hackers and cheaters who target them because they're big streamers in the community, which makes it even worse. Now I'm not directly in the Warzone community, guys, but from what I know so far, Activision or Infinity Ward doesn't really do a good job of like responding to pros and responding to these streamers about these issues. I mean, I always talk about Respawn and Respawn being, kind of not transparent, but I feel like Activision and Infinity Ward on Warzone side is a lot worse. Like they're a lot worse when it comes to responding to complaints and just really talking with their community. So it's gotten so bad, guys, that all of those big streamers who play Warzone have no other, hope, and they've decided to like jump ship and just play a completely different game, and they've chosen Apex. Now this is big because these streamers have huge fan bases, and if they all of a sudden switch to play another FPS battle royale game called Apex Legends, obviously the fan bases are also going to switch and play Apex as well, or at least some of them. So these streamers actually have a lot more power because they could really influence how the players perceive the game and what games they want to play, which is why Apex is kind of like at the top right now in terms of numbers, in terms of players. It's basically the biggest FPS game in the world right now, simply because of this. Now with that said, of course Apex Legends Season 10 also just dropped, so it makes it even more interesting. It just so happened that all of these streamers got fed up of Warzone right before Apex Season 10 dropped. So now because Season 10 has been out for about 1 or 2 days, we already have the Apex fan base and the Apex community hyping it up, but we also have Warzone players now and Warzone content creators coming over and trying out Apex for the very first time. And thank God Respawn has Season 10 in a very good state. The launch was really good as well. Sarah is really fun. Apex is actually in a very good state right now to take advantage of all of these players coming over to the game. Thank God. Because normally Apex doesn't really have the best launches, but this time they did. So I would say on Season 10 launch day, it was a very big nail in the coffin for Warzone, because all of those Warzone streamers were playing Apex for the very first time and discovering just how fun Apex really is. You know, I have friends who always tell me that, you know, Warzone is just a much better game than Apex. Apex is trash, Apex is too boring, Apex is too slow, Apex has no movement. But if you don't know how to play Apex, and you don't really play Apex that much, it's going to be a very, I would say, watered down experience, because Apex isn't like Warzone. You actually have to play Apex a lot to get good and to understand how to play the game and the different legends and abilities and stuff. And once you master it, you'll see how addicting Apex can be and how, you know, just how much things you could actually do in the game. So I feel like Warzone players are finally realizing just how fun Apex is, just how different Apex is, and how good the core mechanics, the gunplay, the movement is in this game. And to top things off, guys, a very big reason why Warzone is kind of allowing Apex to just steal all of their players right now is because Activision, as we all should know, or should I say Activision Blizzard, is in a very big public scandal right now. I'm not going to go too in depth, but basically Activision Blizzard has been accused of so many, you know, just horrific scandals and horrific treatment in their offices to women employees. So honestly, Activision can't even really deal with Warzone right now or try to focus on making Warzone a better game because their hands are full. They're in a bunch of legal trouble right now. The entire state of California is suing Activision Blizzard. So all of this comes at a time where Activision can't even defend themselves and try to keep their players in Warzone. So Apex has free reign right now to do all of this damage and just steal all of Warzone's players. So it's a perfect mixture, it's a perfect situation for Apex to rise and for Warzone to fall. Now I actually don't even want Warzone to fall, because Warzone to me is still a very fun game. It still has so much potential in my eyes. It's a different experience from Apex, yes, but it's also a fun experience in its own right. Like, I've actually played Warzone to get away from Apex, you know. I feel like Warzone is a much more casual, a much more straightforward game, and it's also much easier to play Warzone as a solo player as opposed to playing Apex as a solo player, right? So I still want Warzone to be successful, but I feel like because of what I just said, because of all of those big Warzone streamers leaving to play Apex, and because of what's taking place in Activision Blizzard as well, Apex is going to inevitably cause a lot of damage to Warzone's core fan base. So I guess it's kind of good for me because I'm mainly an Apex content creator. But for all of you Warzone players watching this video right now, leave your comments down below and leave your thoughts about what's taking place with Warzone and Apex. Do you even like Apex? Do you think Apex is fun? Or do you wish Warzone was still what it once used to be? Leave your thoughts down below. That's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed as always, and I'll see you in some more videos. Till next time.